For our group project, we decided to do ranking evolutionary psychologists based on how well they would do in the Hunger Games.
Well-rounded in various aspects of evolutionary psychology makes Glenn Gare a perfect fit for our game maker. Too good at shredding, it just wouldn't be fair to have him in the games. Because of his saturated knowledge of all evolutionary psychologists, he knows exactly how to design the area around them to make the games competitive and have different aspects of the games pertain to different psychologists' strengths and weaknesses.
Coming in at 10th place is Darwin. Unfortunately, he is the first to go, which might be a little bit ironic because he is one of the most well-known, but the only reason why he did not make it far is because his ideas, while they are very advanced, they are also not very fit in regards to the other psychologists and the game of Hunger Games alone. So his ideas regard reproductive success being the bottom line, features of an organism that literally fit the environment of the organism. He talks about basic principles of evolution, but he wasn't the first to discover evolution, and he also said how evolution was possible, but didn't really elaborate on that. He introduces natural selection as well, and a lot of his research is focused on that. The reason that he got 10th place is that he was very good at watching others' behavior and how they interacted with the environment, but he is so very much focused in his own niche that he would not be able to adapt well to new environments. So, as we all know, Glenn Gare is our game maker, and we already know he's going to be throwing out different kinds of weather to change the game, putting in like fire, rain, changing the trees, changing the whole environment, and we all know Darwin would be so very specific to his own environment and niche that he would not be able to survive even like the slightest change. Like he would not be able to adapt like his other competitors. His ideas also aren't as expanded on as more recent evolutionary psychologists, so he might be a little bit too old school, while the other competitors will be able to outsmart him. He has a great foundation, but ultimately will have his knowledge used against him because we all know what his beliefs and findings are.
Coming at 9th is the animal-obsessed Gordon Gallup. A lot of Gallup's research pertains to paternal assurance tactics, sperm displacement mechanisms, such as the difference in erection shape from the chimpanzee to the human. Some more of his research pertains to the hand grip strength in a lot of our arboreal ancestors. Now, while he is going to fare very well with the Jabberjays and befriend lots of the animals, this might not be enough to actually get him to winning the games. Perhaps he should spend a little bit less time swinging from the trees with the monkeys, and maybe he should be paying a little bit more attention to what's going on around him.
Coming up next, in 8th place, we have David Sloan Wilson. Wilson's known for his work on sexual coercion from an evolutionary psychology perspective. He has extensive knowledge on sexual conflict, mating aggression, and environmental factors on this. I feel like the only way that this knowledge could be used is in seducing or coercing his prey into trusting him, and then turning on them and promptly killing them. If this somehow did not work on the other tributes, which would come as a shock to me, because as you can see here, from his confident stance, he is quite the stud. But even so, this was his only plan, so if this tactic did not work, then he would end up losing. As you can see, he came all the way in 8th place because his charms only ended up working on Gallup. Coming in at 7th place, we have David Buss. Famous for his studies and research on mating and relationships with his colleagues, ultimately in the game of Hunger Games, this leads to his own downfall. Buss isn't the first to be knocked out of the game due to his upper hand in being able to observe others' behavior, specifically the differences between men and women, and knowing how to act in a way that's attractive to others. However, this is only a benefit for so long. With Buss being well-versed in the world of parental investment and how to attract a partner, he names kindness and mutual love as some of the most important facets in relationships. He might be right, but in the game of Hunger Games, he unfortunately tried to form alliances with many people using kindness, and this stabbed him in the back. Perhaps David Buss was too soft in the Hunger Games and should have been a bit more cutthroat, as people took advantage of his kindness and saw it as a weakness. They also took advantage of the fact that he was often in a daze, spending time admiring the traits of men and women, trying to be a matchmaker in the arena. His fellow competitors outlasted him as they put on a colder game face, played along with David's niceness until the perfect time came to cut him off.
Jeffrey Miller does not make it into the top 5 in the Hunger Games. Coming in 6th, he believes that human creativity came about not for survival but for courtship. In his mental fitness indicator theory, he outlines criteria that must be met to be considered a fitness indicator: be observable to others, show large variability between individuals, have at least some heritable component, be hard to fake, exist in some manifestation across human cultures. While this is all great and he's a fantastic evolutionary psychologist, he went wrong in a few places in the Hunger Games. When he got his weapons, he spent too long decorating them, letting down his guard. When beautiful competitors passed by, he was known to show off his decorated weapons and sometimes even dance around with them. Poor Miller spent a bit too much time trying to impress the ladies and stand out. He was a bit too observable to others. While this is great in normal life, in the Hunger Games, blending in was not his forte.
Coming in at fifth place, we have John Trivers. So John Trivers believes in reciprocal altruism, and this is behavior where an organism will act in a manner that temporarily reduces its own fitness while increasing another organism's fitness. And this is all with the expectation that the other organism will act in a similar manner at a later time. So John Trivers definitely obviously is going far, and the reciprocal altruism is going to help, but in the end, it is ultimately going to be his downfall. He could be able to deceive the competition by pretending like he was going to partake in reciprocal altruism, but at the end of the day, he is going to help others, and it will be the other people that betray him, which makes him not our winner.
Coming in 4th place, just missing that top 3 spot, is Don Tooby. Tooby has great knowledge of cheater detection from an evolutionary psychology standpoint. He knows how essential cheater detection is across species and about the specialized cheater detection mechanisms in humans. Because he has done so much work on this, he has become good at it himself. This would definitely be an advantage for him because he would be less likely to be tricked or deceived and would not be victim to false allies. This could also give him an advantage in deceiving others because he has more knowledge on how to go undetected as a cheater. The only thing lacking is extensive knowledge on warfare. He'd be able to outsmart many of his competitors, but in the end would lose in physical combat when it came down to it. Despite this, he would still last until almost the very end on pure cleverness. At 3rd place, we have David Livingstone Smith. Smith impressively made it to the top 3, and for good reason. His research focuses around war, the psychology of murder, and how we channel it as humans. Smith states that war is a result for needing resources, and being able to outsmart the game, giving it reason, causes him to make it very far. While he knows that war is such a difficult event that humans find hard to conceptualize, he understands why it may happen. Even though he's not a fan of war himself, his mental strength in being able to justify it in some sort of way makes him able to live longer in the game. Since the Hunger Games are somewhat a similar concept to war regarding murder, violence, and resources, Smith has a huge advantage as this is a big area of study for him. Only a couple hours into the game, and David knew exactly what to do and how to predict what the other player's next moves will be. Due to his dehumanizing theory, he is able to process the violence he witnesses, and his emotions do not get in the way of his game, as it was a disadvantage to the other players. Due to his dehumanization, he was able to kill his competitors off easily as well, which is why he's in 3rd place. He viewed his competition as predators, like they were out to get him, and this helped him justify his takedown of them. As they say, sometimes people will act like you're a bad person so they don't feel bad about what they did to you. Anyways, he saw his peers as targets and was able to mentally detach himself from feeling bad about anything he did. The one reason he didn't ultimately win was because people caught on to his emotionless tactics, which ironically put the target on his own back, as he killed off the remaining players' alliances. In the game of Hunger Games, sometimes having a little remorse is good. Try being a little less cold next time, and maybe you'll be more successful. Not everyone would have been out to get Smith if he didn't think everyone was out to get him.
So, Richard Dawkins comes in second in our Hunger Games. So, some background on Dawkins is his book, The Selfish Gene, and his concept of the selfish gene, which says that we can understand life in understanding the conceptual properties of genes. Genes effectively lead to their own replication, and good replicator genes include the qualities of fecundity, longevity, and fidelity. Dawkins tells us that we can expand this to all replicating entities. So what's his reason for coming in second in the Hunger Games? Well, a large part of it is game theory. Dawkins speaks of aggression in regards to game theory. He knows that there are trade-offs for different types of strategies in the game of life. In the Hunger Games, he knows what different types of behavior will work best at different times. Hawks and doves. He expands upon Axelrod's hawks and doves metaphor, knowing that he can possess hawk-like and dove-like characteristics within his own strategic repertoire. Mathematically speaking, he is shooting for a hawk-like strategy 50% of the time and a dove-like strategy 50% of the time. He knows how to pick his own battles.
And coming in at first place, we have Paul Bingham and Joanne Souza. Talk about a Katniss and Peeta moment. Bingham and Souza's research is largely focused on the idea of distance killing and rock throwing abilities in humans, and also how that led to democracy in humans. They outline the ideas that humans can throw a rock with great power and accuracy, even enough to kill someone. They also talk about the idea of brain over strength. They know that you don't always have to have the biggest muscles to win. Having a plan can be much more beneficial, and this is what makes them our winners. First, they aren't going to choose to run to the cornucopia and risk their lives to get weapons because they know that they can do more than enough damage with just a rock. Second, they are going to be able to outsmart the competition and beat competitors because, again, they know brains over muscles. They are going to win these games and quite possibly make some considerable changes to the political aspects of the districts.